This is how our electronics lab looked like in 2014. And 15, 16, 17, 18 and beginning of 19. It served us well. We designed a lot of electronics boards here, but all the time it was a little bit messy place. Recently we finally changed it. Our Nixie production is based on a castle. We have been there for the last 6 years, and the reason why we are at the castle is because it was the only available space in my area at the time when I was searching for more space to move my Nixie Tube stuff. So the castle is quite close to my home, and also the price of the rent was lower compared to other options. So I decided to rent first room at the castle in 2013, and then with the years I took more and more space, and now we have like 250 square meters and 5 rooms. We have a storage room, we have production room where we assemble all the Nixie tubes and where we pump them and make all this like clean work. We have a general workshop with small metal lathe, small milling machine, and this is the space where we make our custom tools and our machinery, what we use for the production. Then we have a room where we prepare the clocks for shipping, where we pack them, check them and do like kind of office work. And the last 5th room is electronics room. We use this room for development. It's kind of like electronics lab. We use it for development of our electronics like clocks and the small devices which we use in production. When I go back to 2013, at this time we had just a prototype, we had no production and no actual sales, we had nothing what we could sell to customers. So we had no income as a company, and all the costs of the development and the research were paid from my other income, like from my other business. At this time the income was around $5,000 per month, and because we as a family we need around $2,500 per month, so the rest could be invested into the company. So it was roughly $2,000, maybe $2,500 in average per month, which was spent on the Nixie Tube development. $2,000 might seem like a generous budget for development of something so simple as a Nixie Tube, but it was not simple, and I remember that every month it was quite a struggle to pay all the things what I needed. So I was trying to keep the expenses as low as possible, and for this reason when we moved at the castle I didn't spend any money on renovation or even not on a painting. I just moved there and started using the room. So now at 2019 the space is in the same condition as it was in 2013. All the furniture and all these things which are like not related to the actual research, like tables, chairs and all these things were purchased second-hand. So the tables were like $10 each, and everyone was different, and it was working. It served us pretty good, but the result was not really nice. The place was looking like a makeshift, laboratory with old stuff, old furniture, and very not well arranged. But that was not important. I needed to spend all the money what I had available on just the research and on the product. I didn't want to spend any money and also any time on like painting the walls or fixing the floor, so the overall look of the room wasn't good. But this was not important. I wanted to focus on development of the product, and finally, after 2 years, we started selling first Nixie tubes. At this point, when we started selling Nixie tubes, my full attention again moved to something else. Like I had to solve problems with the production, I had to prepare the machinery, the tooling, I had to search for people, train them, and just make it running. So there was no time to think about something like painting the walls or like, making the room nicer. Now in 2019 it finally seems that things are settling down, that the development of the technology will be finished soon, and Also, we have employees. We are 7 people now working at this ugly space, which is ugly since the beginning. And my focus is kind of like moving at other things, and one of them is like making the working place better for us. Like when I arrive to work, I want to feel better, and I want also other people to feel better there. We have employees, we have also visitors. Some customers are visiting us to collect the clock personally and to talk a little bit, to see how we produce their clock. And it's not really a place which I would be proud of. It's still in a improvised conditions, like at the beginning. And for this reason, I want to make our working space nicer and more comfortable. And as an experiment, we will start with our electronics lab, and if it works, we will move on to also other rooms. So now when we decided that we want to make new lab, the question was how to make it and also who will make it. When we take any picture of nice and organized lab, you will see incredible amount of details which needs to be decided. And I was asking like who will plan all this and who will decide about all these things, like height of the work tables, layout of electrical outlets, and layout of the power supplies would we use, where will be oscilloscope. The best of course would be to hire a company, like to outsource all of this to some other company which would just come and build it and we would pay for this. But I'm afraid that it doesn't work like this, that we actually need to design all the details and make it anyway, and I'm afraid that we would not be able to afford it. So for this reason we decided that we will make ourselves, and we will make everything from scratch. We will do all the construction works and all the furniture, all the layout of the electrical devices that we use and everything. It will take a lot of time, but it will take less money than it would take if we hire contractors for all the work. And there is one more important thing. We will learn all the process which needs to be done for redesign of the lab. So in the future, when we decide to make other rooms, we will know what to do, what to ask, and how to specify what we want, so that the work can be passed to the contractors. So to reconstruct the room we needed space, so we started by trashing as much things as possible, cleaning up the space, and then moving things which we need only sometimes or we don't need at all and they are waiting for their use in the future. We move them to our external storage. Next task was to paint the walls and the ceiling. This work was done by me and Sebastian. I always had bad feeling when I asked Sebastian for doing something else than electrical design, because he's our electronic engineer, so he should spend his time on other things than like painting the walls with the roller. But in this case it was, or I expected that it will be just like 2 days, and it was a little bit more, but I think it was not so much. So in the end it was a good decision, because we could decide when we want to paint the walls and when we want to do all the stuff, and we didn't have to wait for the contractor. Once the walls were finished, we continued with the floor. There were a lot of holes in the floor, it was quite damaged from the previous use. So we first fixed it and then decided to apply a coating of epoxy